Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving right into 5 super common, well-intentioned daily health routines that might actually be doing your body more harm than good. It's incredibly frustrating to put all this effort into your wellness, only to find out you might literally be working against your own biology. So, we're going to break down the science behind why these habits backfire, and more importantly, we'll walk through the clinical solutions to actually fix them. Before we even kick off our day, we gotta ask ourselves a pretty wild question. Are the very things we do to stay healthy secretly working against us? We all have these routines, right? Things we've picked up from magazines or friends, just assuming they're giving us a health boost. But human physiology is incredibly complex, and sometimes our absolute best intentions just end up causing unnecessary stress on our systems. Here's our agenda for today. 1. The morning water shock. 2. The post-meal brushing trap. 3. The diet food deception. 4. The vitamin megadose myth. And 5. The exhausted workout danger. Let's get into it.
Habit number 1, the morning water shock or extreme hydration.
Look, we all wake up parched, and we obviously want to rehydrate as fast as possible. But stumbling over to the fridge and chugging a massive glass of ice-cold water, that is a massive biological shock to your system. Flooding an empty stomach with ice water forces your body to immediately burn precious morning energy just to warm that liquid up to your core temperature. And it's not just an energy drain. Pouring all that cold water into your system way too fast actually dilutes your gastric digestive juices. So instead of jumpstarting your metabolism, it leads to bloating and super sluggish digestion right out of the gate. So here is our first clinical nurse fix. Instead of the ice chug, just sip room temperature or slightly warm water slowly over, say, 5 to 10 minutes. You still get all those incredible benefits of morning hydration, but you're doing it in a way that gently wakes up your digestion without throwing it into thermal shock. Moving on to habit number 2, the post-meal brushing trap, because timing really is everything. Okay, so you've had your water, you've eaten breakfast, and naturally you go brush your teeth. Seems like top-tier hygiene, right? Well, actually, scratch that. It's a hidden trap. The problem here is something called enamel softening. That's a temporary weakening of your tooth enamel caused by acidic foods and drinks. And think about breakfast. Fruit, orange juice, coffee, all highly acidic. If you brush right away while your enamel is in this vulnerable, softened state, you are literally scrubbing that acid directly into your teeth. Over time, that erodes the enamel and sets you up for permanent sensitivity. No thanks. The nurse fix here is an easy 3-step process. First, rinse your mouth with plain water immediately after eating. That helps neutralize the acidity. Step 2, just wait about 30 minutes to let your enamel reharden. And step 3, brush safely. It's a tiny little timing tweak, but it absolutely saves your smile. All right, habit number 3, the diet food deception. Let's talk about processed pitfalls. So it's midday, you're dragging a bit, and you grab a low-fat or zero-sugar snack, thinking you're making a really responsible choice. But here's the catch. To make these ultra-processed diet foods taste remotely good while stripping out the sugar and natural fats, companies pump them full of artificial sweeteners, chemical thickeners, and tons of sodium. These synthetic additives severely disrupt your gut microbiome. And worse, those artificial sweeteners completely confuse your body's insulin response. Your brain tastes sweet, it expects calories, doesn't get them, and bam, you're hit with massive sugar cravings later in the afternoon. To avoid this entirely, the nurse fix is to prioritize whole, unprocessed foods packed with natural, healthy fats over those chemically altered diet products. We're talking avocados, a handful of nuts, maybe a salad dressed with olive oil. These will actually keep you full without sending your gut bacteria into a tailspin or setting you up for a crash at 3 p.m. Which brings us to habit number 4, the vitamin megadose myth. Supplement overload. We've all been sold this idea that when it comes to vitamins, more is always undeniably better. So we pop a megadose synthetic multivitamin every day. But physiologically, your body has a hard limit on what it can actually absorb at one time. And while extra water-soluble vitamins mostly just give you really expensive urine, fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K are a totally different story. They don't just flush out, they accumulate and build up in your liver and fat tissues. Consistently taking megadoses of these can seriously stress your liver and kidneys, and even lead to toxicity. So the nurse fix is pretty straightforward. Get your nutrients primarily from a balanced diet of whole foods. You should really only use targeted supplements if your healthcare provider specifically recommends them based on actual blood work. Like if your labs say you're low on vitamin D, for sure, supplement it. But blind megadosing is a risk your liver just doesn't need. And finally, habit number 5, the exhausted workout danger. When pushing too hard backfires. So it's evening. You are completely wiped out from a long day. But you drag yourself to the gym anyway because pushing through the pain is like a modern badge of honor, right? But let's look at the number 4 for a second. If you're operating on, say, just 4 hours of sleep, your biology is already highly compromised. Thanks to that sleep deprivation, your primary stress hormone, cortisol, is already through the roof just trying to keep you awake. Going hard at the gym in that deeply sleep-deprived state is literally like pouring gasoline on a fire. It spikes your cortisol even higher. Instead of building strength, this hyper-stress state promotes chronic tissue breakdown. It skyrockets your risk of injury because your nervous system is basically fried. And crazy enough, it actually causes muscle loss rather than muscle growth. You're just tearing your body down without giving it the resources to build back up. The nurse fix for this one requires a total mindset shift. When you are chronically fatigued, skip the grueling cardio session. Opt for gentle movement instead. Do some light mobility work, stretch, or just take a nice walk. And most importantly, prioritize full restorative sleep. Getting 8 hours of shut-eye will do way more for your health and body composition right now than a forced, miserable hour on the treadmill ever could. Let's wrap this up with a quick summary and rethink that daily routine. We have covered a ton of ground today, right from the second you open your eyes to when you finally wind down. I definitely recommend grabbing a quick screenshot of this core summary table. It's a fantastic cheat sheet that maps out all 5 habits, their hidden risks, and those actionable nurse fixes. By just sipping room temp water, delaying your toothbrushing a bit, swapping zero sugar chemicals for real healthy fats, testing before you supplement, and actually resting when you're exhausted, you are finally aligning your habits with how your body actually wants to function. I want to leave you with this one thought. It's great to have all this information, but it's another thing entirely to use it. Armed with these clinical nurse fixes, take a hard look at your own routine. Which of these well-intentioned but secretly harmful habits are you going to change tomorrow morning to truly support your biology? Try starting with just one and see how much better your body responds. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and here's to building a healthier, smarter daily routine.